TV special, and he was like, yeah, and we filmed it outside of Chicago, and he drove himself there and just showed up. We filmed it at an old theater in St. Charles, Illinois. It was actually a very famous theater, the Arcada Theater. It's an old 1930s movie theater that's a performing arts hall now, and everybody plays there. And it was all live. We just filmed it live, no retakes, all one take. Everything's live.
Really?
And it was a blast. But Hugh just drove himself there and showed up, and just could not have been nicer. And we actually saw him a few other times after that, and him and Richard are still dear friends to this day. But that was pretty cool, though. Pretty cool.
I want to ask about Sixwire again. Now, you competed on a TV show, The Next Great American Band. This was 2007. Now, how did that happen?
Same deal. It was the American Idol people, by referral.
Mm-hmm.
The American Idol people wanted to do a show for bands. And we got invited to come audition. And when you audition, they had all the bands come out to Vegas, and they take you. And long story short, there were 10,000 submissions, and then you had to be invited to come audition. So, the band that got invited, and then from there they whittled it down to 50, and then from 50 they whittled it down to actual 12 that actually made the show. So it just Idol, and we had to move to LA. We had to drop everything for 3 months or so and move to LA and literally in real time compete on this show. And we did. It was the next Great American Band. So you had every different style band you can think of. Trust me. And we were in all age groups, but it was pretty much 40 and below. Well, in our early 40s, and we're kind of the seasoned veterans. We'd already had a record deal, had songs on the radio. But at that time we had nothing going on. We were just playing gigs and surviving. And we were like, well, you know what? We'd like a shot at this. We'd like to get another record deal and see what we could do. So we were like, what the hell? We'll go do this TV show. We'll go. But we put our lives on hold, though. I mean, I had to walk away from my session career. We canceled gigs. We all literally gave up everything to go be on this goofy show. It ended up being a blast. We were the first runner. We came first runner up. So we're second place, whatever. And what was funny is that it ended up being a great experience because we're on national TV every week. You got thousands of people voting for you every week to keep you in to survive to the next week. It's just like Idol. So we were on national TV every week. There was no downside. We got all these people who didn't know us. If they didn't know us from years previous, having our record out and our videos out, they damn sure knew about us now because the ratings are pretty good. We came in the first runner up. We ended up getting all these gigs from it. We didn't get a recording contract, but we parlayed that into a lot of live gigs, and now all of a sudden we're on the radar from all these people who didn't really know about us, and now we're getting all these gigs. So to this day, we're still working and doing gigs from the relationships we made back in 07, 08, 09,
Wow.
And we have been working pretty steady ever since. But it was just one of those things. There really was no downside. Is it on national TV every week for 10 or 11 weeks? Hell no, it's not. It's not a bad at all. So we were just lucky enough to hang in there and win every week and make it to every episode. So we made the finale and we're on TV for 3 months or so. So it was a good thing.
Must have been nice having your family see you competing on the show.
Was cool.
And voting for you, of course.
Voting, yeah.
But hey, you still, the Sixwires, as you have a promo video that you showed me, and your band has performed with Richard Marx and plenty other recording artists.
Yeah. What we morphed into, what happened was we're all session musicians and singers, and we're pretty confident in being able to play a lot of different styles. Musically, we're very comfortable in rock and classic rock and pop and R&B and blues, and like we have and of course country and all that. And so what we started doing was we started doing these shows where we would be the band, and we would have 2 or 3 different stars be the front man. So we'd have, the former lead singer of Kansas, John Elefante, and Steve Algeri, the former lead singer of Journey. He was with Journey for over 10 years, and say Mark McGrath, from Sugar Ray. We would have these shows where we would have 3 different lead singers out and does 4 or 5 of their number 1 hits, and you have an hour and a half, 2 hour show of nothing but hits. Well, and this is not a new thing, and people have been, but we started doing this, and it just took off, and we have been lucky enough to stay busy doing all these multi-artist shows. So we've been doing this now for years, for over 10 years. We started out doing charity gigs where we'd be the house band and we would back up 10 or 12 stars, like on these 3-hour shows. Oh. For St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Nice.
Do these charity shows, and it was so successful that we made friends with all these stars. And this is where we met Alice Cooper and Don Felder from the Eagles and Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon. And just tons, and Michael McDonald and all these stars we met doing some of these charity shows. Well, we turned that into, we could do these in the real world and actually go do normal gigs and actually get paid to do this stuff. So, long story short, we have William Morris Agency booking us, and we have our own manager and booker, Prime Source Productions, who books a lot of shows in the corporate world. And so we've done corporate private shows where we have 3 or 4 artists all on one show. And then in public shows, either like, at city festivals or amphitheaters or casinos or whatever. And so we do a good mix of these multi-artist shows, and that's all we do now. That's for most of the shows we do is Sixwire is the band, and we'll back up 4 or 5 artists, or sometimes 3 or 4, and do these shows, and it's a win-win for everybody, because the crowd gets to see 3 or 4 different artists. Every song you hear is a hit song, and it's multiple genres. A lot of times we'll do a rock thing or a classic rock thing, or even a country show. We'll have 3 or 4 different country artists, and so we're doing this unique thing that no one else is really doing it to the level that we're doing it, and it's been wildly successful, and that's all we're doing now. Now, the caveat is, yes, right now everybody should do the virus, but up until March of this year, we're really busy doing that, and it's been wildly successful, and we're just on hold right now. We've now turned that into, now we're doing live stream shows. So a lot of these artists will fly to Nashville. We'll go to a huge camera crew and a camera setup, and we will do a live stream show for a corporate private show, and or we just did a huge thing for St. Jude Hospital for them about a month ago, and we had 5 different artists, and they had people from all over the world tune in. I think it raised over $400,000.
Nice.
And had good. From 25 different countries tune in and watch this live stream show. And it was an hour and a half, 2-hour show. We had 5 different artists. We had Scott Stapp from Creed, from the band Berlin, Palmer from the Romantics, who am I forgetting? Oh, Uncle Cracker. It's all that musically, and thing we do all the time, And so now, since we can't do live shows because of the virus, now we're doing live stream shows. So we're we've figured out, we've kind of transitioned and reinvented ourselves, and we will be doing these up until we can start doing normal live shows.
In the live streaming shows, they do put food on the table?
They're starting to, yeah.
Okay.
We're doing more and more, so we've got a few more in the can that we're, and some of them we'll pre-record or some of them are live,
okay.
It depends on the situation. But we have a few big ones in the works right now that we hopefully this time next week we'll have the contract signed and we'll have, we'll have those worked out. But yeah, it's definitely it's a whole nother income stream that wasn't even on our radar 6 months ago. So we found a way to kind of reinvent ourselves, and thank God. So it's a good thing.
Amen.
Like everybody else, we're a touring act. So when this all went down in March, we had, I guess, 40 shows. These are contracted, confirmed shows. 40 or 50 shows and events canceled from March until the end of this year.
Damn.
And a lot of them got rescheduled for next year, or in a handful of them we turned into live stream shows, but the majority, 90% of our live shows just went away, just like everybody else. Because all these big acts had tours planned, and it's been devastating for the live performing industry. The Broadway people, everything. It's and in musical, from the stadium acts who do in stadiums all the way down to the guy playing for tips, playing down here on Broadway in Nashville, playing crappy bar gigs. From the top to the very, very bottom of the food chain, everyone has been affected.
Yep.
And it's been terrible. What's so bad about Nashville and in any other big city is devastating for the musicians, but the bartenders and the waiters, the waitresses, it's been terrible because they make the majority of their income on tips, and cash money, and that's gone away. So my heart goes out to them. At least I can do recording sessions and I can do live stream shows, and I can still play on tracks and record people, and make a living. But these, God love them. These people who do nothing but play live, they're devastated. So my heart goes out to them because it's just a mess.
Maybe this will help. They'll hear this podcast and say, there's another way I can make a revenue stream somehow, some way.
There are, and there are ways to make money doing live stream things and playing for tips, and man, you go online and you'll see singer-songwriters doing these performances, these performances at their house, and they're playing for tips on PayPal or Venmo, and they're doing it once a week or whatever. It's at least it's a little grocery money, but it's people are getting creative. You wouldn't believe the things I'm seeing online. People figuring out a way to do some sort of way to make money. It's pretty ingenious, some of them.
Yeah. Well, you have children, you said. How many do you have?
I have two, and they're grown. My oldest son is 24, and my daughter's 20.
Are they musicians?
And, they have the good sense not to do that.
Oh, okay.
My son, they're both actually really great singers.
Oh, okay.
My son plays guitar and writes, but it's more of a hobby. It's just for fun.
Right.
My daughter is an esthetician, and she does all the the skincare and all the skin, the glad stuff, and so she has been doing that for about a year now, and she loves that, and so she does that, and my son is he's done a couple different jobs, but he was a business major, but neither one of them do music professionally, so
leave that to Dad.
I didn't encourage it or discourage it. I'm like, you just do whatever you want to do, and I will be supportive in any way that I can, which is